watching the It's Her Time podcast with Cody and Jess. Welcome back to the It's Her Time podcast. It's so great to have you here. And as you can see, I have amazing guests with me that I can't wait to introduce you to. We are with two amazing women that are out there just doing a lot of good in the world and making a huge difference for women and children. And Mixers is excited to be able to team up with them, hoping that we can make a bigger impact on the world. And that's what our discussion is going to be all about today. I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves in a minute. But before we go into all of this episode, we're going to turn time over to Jess for a Mixers Girls Say.
On today's Mixers Girls Say, we're going to go through a fun this or that edition that we had women participate on our social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you the questions. I'll answer some, you answer some, and then we'll see what people voted.
Fun.
This or that.
Okay.
Text or call?
Text.
Me too. Also, 78% of women said text.
I know.
So I feel like call if I'm like quickly needing an answer, or like if I call, it's kind of like you and me do this to each other. Like we text a lot, or like we're super responsive to each other in text. I know if Cody's calling me or if I'm calling her, we're like, oh, hurry, like let's grab it. Cause we know there's like some urgency behind it.
Right. Or just too much text, right? So
yes. Yeah. Okay. Music or podcasts?
I love music, but I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I love podcasts. I think that it's like I'm killing two birds with one stone when I'm like out walking or hiking or whatever, or driving. Then I can also be learning and doing some of my own self-development as well. So podcast.
I don't think this is an option, but I'm going to vote 50-50.
Yeah.
Because I do both, like depending on the time of day, depending where I'm driving or what time of day I'm driving. Like I feel like I do both, and I think that's kind of a cop out, but I do both.
No, because I think it's important, because I think sometimes you can have information overload, and sometimes I'm like, no, music. I just want to listen to some of my favorite music instead.
Do you ever just drive with it silent?
Yes.
Me too. Yes. I just like silence sometimes.
I know.
78% of people said music.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
This or that, movie or book? I am movie. I wish I was better at movies. Books. I wish I were better at books. I listen to audiobooks, but I don't read books. And you are a movie gal.
I love movies. They're like, it's like my favorite thing. I'm kind of not that choosy too. I mean, obviously it's nice when it's a good movie, but it's like sometimes just the experience of going to the movies with my family or friends. It's just so fun. But I love books too. I used to be a much better reader. But I find that lately I feel like all I'm ever reading are things about science or things about, you know what I mean? Like
formulations.
I'm needing to like get lost in a fun, like fictional story. I just think I love it when you find a book that you just can't put down. It's the best.
A bunch of my girlfriends are the same as us. We're like moviegoers over reading, but they're all super absorbed in my bunko group into this like romance novel series. I haven't entered it yet, but maybe you and I will be book gals if
Let's
we
do it.
We're going to do it. 63% of women said movies.
Okay.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Me too. Me too. For sure. I like the waffles, like still fluffy and soft, but I like a crisp, like waffle.
When you put some syrup on it, it's like the pancake gets soggy. Yeah. Waffles all the way.
60% of women vote waffles.
You know what's up.
And last, cold climate or warm climate? It's currently freezing outside. I had mentioned on a different episode that it was like spring was coming. That's no longer looks that way. Cold or warm climate?
Always warm. I am a sunshine girl for sure. But over the years, I've been trying to embrace every season. And so I don't like get depressed, because honestly, it used to, like when it would get cold outside, I'd be like, okay, I'll just try to survive until the sun comes back. But now I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Just get better clothes. Get clothes that keep you warm and get outside. The sun is still shining, even if you can't see it behind all of the cloud coverage. Get outside, move your body, and you're just going to be happy all year long.
I love it. I'm a warm climate gal if I have to vote, but I feel like living here in Utah, we have many seasons. We have a lot of different like we experience all the weather extremes here.
Yep.
So I feel like that's actually really fun to experience all 4 seasons every year. But 80% of women vote warm climate. Yeah. So yeah, don't blame you. Yeah. Okay, let's get into the episode. Mixers is a company made for women by women. Each of our products have been carefully and lovingly crafted to support you in all stages of your life, providing you with the optimal health you deserve. Each ingredient we handpick is 100% all natural, backed by science, and chosen specifically to better your life physically, mentally, and hormonally. Each product empowers your body to take charge of its monthly hormonal shift and flows, empowering you to live life to the fullest. Let Mixers take care of your needs from sunup to sundown, and you take care of the rest. Check us out at mixers.com, MIXHERS.
All right. So excited. So let's just get right into it. Let's have you girls you ladies, I should say, you girls, you ladies, introduce yourselves to our audience. Who wants to go first? Go ahead.
My name is Josephine. I am coming from Zambia. It's a country in the southern part of Africa. I think maybe it borders Zimbabwe. Yeah. I work with an organization called Mothers Without Borders. I'm the country director in charge of all the programs, all the staff, and all other things that need to be done to run that organization in the country.
Amazing. Josephine and I have been able to get to know each other over the last couple of days, and I'm so impressed with everything that she is doing. And I know you girls that are tuning in are going to be really inspired by all of the good work that she's doing over in Africa. So, and then we also have Kathy.
Yes, I am Kathy Headlee, and I'm the founder of Mothers Without Borders. And I started the organization about 34 years ago in response to a growing awareness on my part of the number of orphans that were being created in the world. And not just orphans in the traditional sense, children who have lost both parents, but children that we refer to as economic orphans. So because of war, violence, gender inequality, poverty, disease, things like that, drought, then a lot of children are left in a situation where they're being raised in households where their families or extended family members, in the case where their parents have died, are not able to take care of the needs of the children. So it's estimated that there's more than 170 million orphans in the world. Those are children who have lost one or both parents. And then when you add the economic orphans onto that, creating what we call vulnerable children, it's in the hundreds of millions of children. So as I became more and more aware of the growing need, as a mother of 5 myself, and knowing how important it was for me that my children, that their needs were met and that they could have dreams and opportunities, then I wanted to be able to create something that could help provide that for children around the world, which led to my understanding and working with people like Josephine to understand that in order to create that opportunity for children, I had to also empower women. And so that became this really synergistic partnership between how do we identify women in communities that are willing to really make a difference in their community, and then how do we empower them to do so.
Amazing.
So it's really empowering. Josephine is our country director. She's also our Africa regional director because we've worked in multiple countries in that area. And she leads all of the initiatives. So, and she's has a master's in social work, which she's a little modest about her own personal accomplishments. She worked full time for us and went back to night school for many years to complete that degree.
Good for you.
So very hardworking, really a great example of a woman who is powerful and dynamic. And it shows us what women can do when they are not only empowered, but given the actual power to make change in their communities.
And do you find that, as women, most of our audience is women. We love the men that are listening and tuning in too, because men are needed in order to help empower women as well. But we have like this little natural instinct within us as women to be people that have a desire to nurture and to care. And so when we are given the ability and the opportunity to do it, I feel like it's why we can be so effective. And so you said that you go into these different communities and you specifically go and look for other women in the community that you notice are people that are women that can be leaders. Is that kind of what you're looking for? Or what is it that you first, when you go in and you're trying to establish a way that you can help a local community, what are the kind of the first things that you're looking to establish?
Okay. So just like you rightly put it, a woman is the one that usually encounters the problems in a home. You find that they're the ones with the children. So it's just natural that those are the people we should look for when we go in a community. So what we normally do is these communities are usually organized in such a way that there's somebody that is a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can access those through a school, through a church, or through just some small market committees that would be able to direct you to the actual woman that you can reach out to. So when we reach out to that person, you talk to them, and then they then will allow all the other women that will fit in the kind of program that you want to introduce in the community to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how we approach it.
Yeah. So there are a lot of single moms and is that kind of what you're saying? There's just a lot of women who are kind of the ones that are needing the most help because they don't have the support that they need.
Yes. So the ones that are needing the help mostly are would say widows. Some are just single moms, like they never married before. And then there's grandmothers that are raising grandkids. Probably the moms or dads have passed, especially because of the HIV pandemic. So it's all those women falling into that category. And then sometimes it's just abused women that are still in an abusive marriage, but they need some kind of empowerment so that they can be able to, take care of that circumstance that they're in.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I just think that's so amazing that you guys go in and provide that empowerment for these women to be able to kind of shine and to be able to step into their lives and make the most impact for good. So, well, I want to kind of go back a little bit because I know this is amazing and this is a good introduction for us to kind of know a little bit about Mothers Without Borders. But Kathy, I would love to have you kind of share like what really started all of this for you? What was going on in your heart that made you be the one that like was willing to just maybe get uncomfortable, maybe like take action, where so many of us hear these stories and we're like, wow, there's so much there's so much need out there and it kind of feels overwhelming and we think we wish we could help, but we don't always necessarily go take the steps that are necessary. So what was it that was going on in your heart that made you decide to be the one that was going to lend a hand?
Yeah. I think for me, and this may be true for a lot of your listeners, if they really get quiet for a minute and kind of look back at who they were when they were children, like what got your attention when you were a child? If you were playing on the playground and somebody fell down, like, did that get your attention? And even if you were maybe shy and you didn't feel like you wanted to go over and help, did you have some kind of reaction? Was it sort of like, and I think some of that gets scared out of us because we think, I don't know what to do. I can't. And then we start believing this thing that says, there's nothing I can do. And I certainly had a lot of that. I speak to that because I felt that. I really understand that about how it feels like, but I'm just one person, or I don't have any specific gifts or talents, or I don't have a degree, or I don't have financial backing, or I don't have. And it all comes back to, it all kind of boils down to you believe that you don't have enough, you don't know enough, but the real culprit is you don't believe that you are enough. And that's really what sits at the heart of it. And I think because I experienced a fair amount of trauma myself in my childhood. And as a result of that, I had a lot of those. I had a real affinity towards people's suffering
just a
and
tender
trauma.
Heart. Yeah.
And so when I was faced with it, and those feelings started coming up of, well, I don't know, how could I solve this? Typically kind of the way I got myself to respond was to say, all right, well, maybe you don't need to solve anything very big. Is there something you can do right here, right now?
Mm-hmm.
What can you do right here, right now in this situation? And then, be at peace with that, kind of find some, be okay with that. And you'd be surprised. Like I really think it comes down to I call it like the one more plate at the table thing.
Yeah.
I raised 5 children, mostly as a single mom. And I know my kids would, come in the door when I was calling to them, and they'd have 3 stragglers and say, "Can they stay for dinner?" And I just throw more plates on the table, and I didn't say no.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't plan for that. I only have enough lettuce for 4 salads. It's like, take a little bit of lettuce, take a little bit of that, and
figured it out.
You make it work.
Yeah.
And so I really believe that we could solve pretty much all of humanity's problems.
Mm-hmm.
May sound simplistic, but I've put it to the test now for 34 years, and we've been able to reach more than 5 million people. And it's like,
amazing.
Yeah, it helps. And I didn't start out to do that.
Right.
And I've had a lot of amazing local people like Josephine who do much of the heavy lifting. But it's just believing that who you are makes a difference on the planet, and that you have something to offer. And if you get still and drop into your heart and say, what can I do today?
Mm-hmm.
And it might be find an organization you trust. And I built Mothers Without Borders as an effort. I saw so many good people who said that.
Yeah.
Who said, I see the problem. I don't know what to do.
Right.
Why are you tackling AIDS? Kathy, like what, how can you,
who are you?
Who are you?
AIDS?
And I asked myself that question many millions of times, and I was asked that question. And so I built Mothers Without Borders as a way to create a bridge between the most vulnerable humans that I was coming in contact with and that I could identify, and people who cared, and people who said, I don't know what I can do, but I can give you $50 a month, or I can, do this, or I can do that. And it's in 34 years, there's been a lot of different needs in many parts of the world. And what has resulted is that we found that in one of our core beliefs at Mothers Without Borders is that we belong to each other as a human race. And so we take care of each other, and we do what we can. We don't ever want to disempower someone.
Mm-hmm.
We're very careful to not do something for someone that they can do for themselves. Even if they don't want to do it, even if they're scared to do it, then our job is to give them the courage to support them and to say, you can do this. I know it's hard.
Which is literally what empowerment means, right?
Is.
And so
it is. It's not codependency, and it's so easy to feel like, oh, well, I'll just, give away all my clothes, or it's like, maybe. But I always ask Josephine, and I always, in all the countries I've worked, I'll say, do you want these things to give away to people, or do you want to try to sell them, or do you want to try to set up a cooperative who will then sell them, who will then use that money in the way that they want to, so they can learn about financial management? And when you're working, of course, with vulnerable children, especially children who are trafficked, those are mostly kids we work with who are sexually abused. They need to be taken care of.
Right.
They need
Their
to be protected.
Needs
they need to be rescued.
Right.
They need to be protected. They need to be loved. They need to receive trauma healing. All these things that, Josephine is providing. We have more than 60 kids in residence. And that number ebbs and flows. And then we've had hundreds of kids in our residence facility where they come for safe shelter and food and education and counseling. And when they're ready, then they move either into a foster home or they form their own group homes.
Yeah.
If they're teenagers and they want to kind of be out on their own. But it's just really, for me, the journey was getting up every day and saying, what can I do today?
Yeah.
And that's really, when people say, how did you do this? It's like one day at a time.
One step at a time. Just taking action
at a time. What can I do today? And it builds upon itself. Of course, you have to practice good principles of business like anything else. But I found that if I would go to bed at night and say, whatever I did for today, it was enough for today. It's not enough for tomorrow, but it was enough for today.
Yeah.
And get up the next day and do it again. What you find is I look back now at a lifetime and, many, many people and many, many countries and many, many heroes. Like I look at Josephine and these grandmothers, hundreds of thousands of grandmothers in their 80s, raising all of their children's children. They're raising 15, 16.
Right. Like they have the heart, but they're willing to take the action and they're willing to know that it's okay to ask others to join in. Because I feel like as women, like that's a natural instinct I think we have too, is that we like to come together. Like we're really good at gathering and collaborating and like seeing a problem that needs to be solved and being the person that's willing to step in, but also recognizing like we have more power when we come together. And so I love that. And so it's amazing. I want these women to give you all a picture of what it is that they are doing in these different communities, what this looks like, who it is that they're serving, because I want you girls to understand what all of this is about, because as a mixers community, we are going to have an opportunity to be able to also be the ones that can take our hearts and step into action to be able to also join with this amazing organization to make a difference in the world. So will you guys tell me exactly what it is that you are providing and who it is you're providing it for? Because it's a pretty incredible and extremely inspiring.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So I'll start with one program where we are working with girls ages 10 to 24. Initially, we were supposed to have them like at 14 when they are teenagers. But then after some research, we've come to understand that some of the things that's making us work with these girls happen actually between the ages of 10 to 14.
And you're talking about like sexual violence and
Yes.
early marriage.
Yes.
These are girls that were being put into marriage at 10, 11, 12 years old.
Well, you were telling me just the other day that one of the girls that you are helping, she was a 10-year-old that came to them 6 months pregnant. I mean, this is like an incredible thing that it's hard to wrap our minds around and hurts our hearts, obviously. But these are women and children who are in desperate need at a much younger age than you would think.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. So we've created a system where we have mentors assigned to maybe 20 girls each. And we have 21 mentors in this program where each one of them has 20 girls. So these mentors become friends and role models to the girls so that they can look up to them. They can have time to share their problems with. And it's just working out well because culturally, the adults in the home, like the parents, they would never talk to a girl about girls' issues.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So these mentors can talk.
Yeah.
And so the initiative is to find these girls who, because of poverty, are at risk of being sold into early marriage by their parents.
Right.
And because their parents don't have any options, they're very, very poor. They don't have money to educate their girls. And so they end up just starting their life as an adult at 11 or 12.
Right.
So by offering a different alternative, we offer these families a different path where we say, we will commit to keeping your daughter in school through her primary school, through her secondary school. And if she wants to go to college or a trade school, we will commit to that with her. And we teach them all kinds of other things, life skills and how to say no and how to avoid being marginalized or being a victim of, sexual domination and different things like that. And so there's all these lessons that they learn. We have 470 girls in the program right now. And some of these girls were in a situation where they didn't think they could complete grade 12 and now they're in law school or they're in medical school or they're becoming teachers or nurses or musicians or artists, whatever they want, seamstresses. They have catering businesses. We're not really attached to what their dream is, except that it's their dream.
You just want to help.
We want them to have their dreams. And so to see the difference between the girls when they first come in and they're shy and they're scared and they're not sure. They don't know if they can trust it.
I bet.
And then, when we talked with those, we had like 15 girls come together. And as it happened, they were all in college. And most of them were either in some degree of medicine, either research or medicine or nursing. Then there was an engineer. And listening to them talking, it's like, I knew you girls years. And like, you sat like this, and I'd ask them a question, and now they're dynamic and they're vibrant. And it just is so, it's like, okay, this is what can happen. And even the kids that we rescue from being trafficked or who are having sexual violence inside of the homes they live or in their community, Josephine was telling me in the car yesterday, I said, so how much is it costing to keep the kids in the trauma center? And we'll keep them there as many years as we have to. It's $27 a month.
Okay. Wow.
To save a child's life.
Right.
It's like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Find me somebody who can't do $27 a month.
We can do that, right? That's something we can do.
And it's like, I had no idea. And they're offered so many amazing services. And Josephine's doing the hard work. She's going into the homes, and rescuing these kids. And then we have great staff that raise them and love them and nurture them. And so that's mostly, it's rescuing kids. It's educating them. We have a school, a free school for community kids that has 880 students in it. And
amazing.
Yeah. And then empowering women in communities.
Yeah. So. And then you guys have a farm, right?
We do.
I mean, there's so many things, and you're helping to also teach them trades. And there's just a lot that's going on.
There's a lot. And you have to come. And so that's why for any of your listeners who want, come on a team. Right. Because you get to spend 10 days. You don't have to listen to 20 minutes and go, I didn't get all that.
Yeah. Right. There's no way we're going to be able to cover it all in this episode, but there is an opportunity that we're hoping to organize where maybe we can take, a group of us to go and actually be, helping hands that can come and help and help make a difference and learn and understand, what the situation is that you're seeing and living with every single day, which thank you, by the way, that's amazing. You're the one that goes into a lot of these homes. How does that affect your heart? Like, how are you doing? Are you okay?
It's never easy. Yeah, it's never easy. So every time a situation presents, it's not always the same. So some of the situations are harder than the others, but it's never easy. You just have to create a space within yourself where you begin to accept that this is what it is. And the healing thing about that is, that you have done your best to intervene in whatever way it is. It may not be like what you completely wanted to do, but something has been done about it. Yeah, so that's the consolation. But whenever any situation presents, it's always hard.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I'm like wanting to take care of you too. I'm like wanting to make sure that, because I'm sure I can only imagine being somebody that's an outsider and not the person that's in there, like knowing these girls and seeing and just experiencing all of the sadness that's going on, that would be something that you would need support with too. And is that something that Mothers Without Borders also is like? I know Kathy is a big-hearted person, and you're very aware of like making sure women are being taken care of emotionally, not just physically. Yeah. And so, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in meditation, and I teach meditation. I train the staff, and Josephine is a meditator. That's been a big, that's changed a lot of things in her life, is to drop into those places where you find your authentic self and say, this hurts. And you find your ability to be able to hold space for others and to increase that. So I know, because I've done this work myself for so many years, and I know what it is to feel like you're alone with your broken heart.
Right.
Like you can't really talk to your neighbors. When I would come back from really difficult places, war-torn places where there was a lot of suffering, and I would, go back into my house in California, or when I was in Colorado, different places. And the first thing people say to me is, oh, you were on another trip. I noticed you haven't been around. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
And the picture in my mind, is a grandmother holding her daughter as she dies, and then has to take her newborn baby and figure out a way to care for it. So fun. It's like, and how do you have that conversation and still have respect? So I wanted to be respectful of my neighbors who cared about me. So I had a real personal understanding of what it is to hold your broken heart alone. And so when I started having more staffing in other parts of the world, I made it a priority that it's like, I see you, I'm here for you, what do you need? And made sure that they have some R&R, that they have support, that they have therapy when they need it, to be truthful, because we're experiencing a lot of trauma. We are, the situations that Josephine goes into, that I've been going into for many years, are very trauma heavy. And so you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you have
have
to
to.
pull time away and say, make sure I'm eating well, make sure I'm resting, make sure I have somebody to talk to, and let yourself cry. And for anybody listening, like if you hear a story that we tell or someone tells and you say, this is too heavy, I can't hold it. Take a few breaths and say, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? I can. I don't want to, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it feels uncomfortable.
That's okay. I don't
Mhm.
like that this is happening, and she doesn't like that it's happening.
No.
We never become complacent.
Mhm.
You know, when she has to rescue babies that are dropped off by a young mother who doesn't know what to do, and that baby doesn't survive.
Yeah.
She's the one that's holding that baby through its last breath. That's not easy. So I made it a top priority that we would really make sure that they have the care that they need and that they're seen. You know, I see that you're in pain right now. Take a day off. And
yeah.
I mean, my solution is sometimes let's go to a movie and have some popcorn.
Well,
and that
sometimes,
was,
escape, right?
That
It's
was new
escape
for
from
them.
the reality.
I introduced them to movies and they were like, what is this movie thing? And it's like, trust me, it just works. Like you eat the popcorn, you drink your soda, you watch the movie, you feel better when you come out.
Escape. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, as women, and not just women, because it's just as people, as humans, when we see that there's a lot to do, our first instinct is to just do. Hopefully. I mean, sometimes we get like frightened and we don't do, and we are paralyzed. But when we do get into that do mode, it's also though important to remember that in order to be able to have the biggest impact, we do have to take care of ourselves, put our own oxygen mask on,
first.
Take care of our own, emotional health as well, because we want to make the biggest impact for good in the world. And health is the tool. Health is the key for that. You have to be healthy mentally, physically, and spiritually in order to go and make the biggest impact, which is what we want, right?
And you have to be able to laugh. And one of the things that the people in Africa, I've worked now in 7 or 8 African countries. Africa is a huge continent. I haven't by any means worked everywhere, but in the 7 or 8, they laugh a lot and they know how to laugh. And even on a day when we've had the hardest thing possible, we are always able to sit down at the end of the day and find something that we laugh so hard. And that is also creates that balance that says there is joy and there is suffering. And they both are equal parts of the same whole.
Right.
And they're both necessary. So their ability to laugh and to have community, and part of what you see when you see little videos of people sitting around and like plaiting their hair, braiding their hair, and that's all community.
Yeah.
Or cooking the food together, and we sit and do that. And so that's very healing. And we don't have enough of that in our culture. We separate ourselves and we keep our doors and windows closed and
kind of suffer alone.
They live in community. And so that really helps a ton. Like that just helps the trauma kind of spread out and disappear, and you're not going back into your own house by yourself. So there's a lot of things I've learned from very wise women in Africa that has taught me the value of laughter. So like with the teams, when we say, sometimes people say, well, what are we going to do when we go to Zambia? I say, well, have you ever just really wanted to spread, pig manure around on a garden? Because I'm going to give you a chance to do that, and you will have to burn your clothes. And they're like,
oh, fun.
I don't know. That doesn't seem. And I was like, yeah, and I will laugh at you the entire time.
It's very entertaining for all of us. Yeah.
Yes. So it is. And we play with kids a lot. So mostly what people do when they come in our groups, they play with kids. And so there is a lot of natural laughter being created. And so you can hold the heaviness of what you're seeing because, when a kid gets you in double Dutch and you're, 60 years old and it's like, oh my gosh, and all the kids are lined up just giggling and laughing. And it's a very healing kind of experience.
It's just, it's so there's so much wisdom in all of that. And I feel like even us, as we're listening to this, there's a lot that we can learn because I do think in our culture, we do tend to we separate and we suffer alone, but it's more important than ever when we are in that state of, being that we need to connect. It is, like I said before, it's in us. It's part of our who we are as women and as human beings. We need to connect. We need each other. And it's not always easy. And sometimes it doesn't always feel like appropriate to laugh and to feel the joy.
Yeah.
So, but do you feel like that's just something that's just like a natural thing for you? Or do you have to like consciously decide, I need to laugh today. I haven't laughed today. And so we've got to do something like, laugh at the lady trying to do double dutch or what?
No, I don't feel that way.
It just you.
Yeah, it just comes naturally, and
you just let it go.
I have no explanation to it. Yeah, you just laugh. Yeah.
And it's just sort of the ebb and flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're laughing. And we have so many kids around us on our property between the trauma, the Children's Resource Center, and then the school. And if kids can't make you laugh, I don't know who can, because they're just silly.
Yeah.
And they're fun. And I'll just give a short story that kind of really tells you where this healing is. You remember when we took Precious into the courts after she'd been abused? So we had this little girl, this little 5-year-old girl, tiny little
named
thing.
Precious.
And her name is Precious, and she is precious.
Okay.
She is the most darling little thing, just the most darling thing. And she had been sexually assaulted by her stepbrother for a few years. Mm-hmm. And then we found out about it, and she was put into our care. Mm-hmm. And on the day we went to the court, because she had to go and name who it was and all that. Mm-hmm. And that was traumatic, all of that. And she was very nervous and she was shaking. We were taking really good care of her, and I had her favorite book, and she was sitting on my lap, and Josephine went in the courtroom with her, and we went through all that and finalized it and got back in the car and went out to where we stay at the farm. And she was quiet the whole way back. And I didn't quite know what to do. And we got out of the car, and I went and sat down, and I had her book on my lap, and she came over and just started like fiddling with my hair and she had tiny little fingers, and she could just do the fastest braids, and she was braiding my hair. And then and I didn't say anything to her. We were just sitting together. And then all of a sudden she looked at me and she said, "Do you want to jump rope?" And I know why they want me to jump rope, because I'm horrible at it. And everybody laughs, because it's the old white woman, trying to jump rope. So I said, "I do want to jump rope." And she was over it. Mm-hmm. And we went and jump roped, and then she ran off and played with her friends. And I just thought, okay, what am I learning from this child? So that was such a powerful moment in my life, because I was sitting there thinking, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And she did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
She did it. She just was her.
She's just being her.
She was just being her.
And being in the moment.
And be present. And when you're feeling joy, feel joy. And when you're feeling sadness, feel sadness, because it too will pass. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it moves if you let it move.
Yeah.
So I think for them, it's very natural to sit together as women. We laugh about many things, many things.
Yeah.
Mostly ourselves,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it is healthy.
Good. I love that. Well, I know that when I've watched videos, which I'm excited, I'm going to encourage you, the listeners and those that are viewing us on YouTube, to go to our show notes, because I'm going to link some videos that are from Mothers Without Borders, so you can actually see what we're all talking about today. But it seems like there is so much joy. There's just the biggest smiles on these women and these children's faces, and the people that are working and helping. It just feels like it's it's a sad story, it's a sad situation, but there is joy. And I think that's beautiful, and that is life. And I think there's so much that we can all learn from this. And I think it inspires us to learn to embrace it all, and to be, able to feel it all. And like you were just saying, Kathy, just knowing that when we are in these hard times and things are feeling hopeless, that will pass, and that we can look and find the good in many things. And so that's super inspiring. I know we're going to kind of wrap this show up just pretty soon, but I wanted to give you guys a chance to just share from your heart the things that we as a community here can help with. Like, how can we help you girls, you ladies?
You want me to do that one?
Okay. You're like, how do we make this? This list.
So there's a lot of ways that people can help. First, I want to assure your listeners that your pain is not secondary to anybody else's pain on the planet. So for anybody who's listening who has pain, know that your pain matters. Mm-hmm. And the pain of the people that we serve in Zambia is not superior or paramount. because when someone is in pain, that's pain and that's hard. And when something's hard for you in your life, like, please honor that and honor yourself and know that we honor you and that you have a community of people in Zambia and women everywhere who are honoring the pain that you're experiencing. It's very real.
Worldwide.
So I don't want people to like say, oh, why should I be sad? Because this is, no. Yeah. It's not a competition. Pain is not a competition, friends.
It's beautiful.
That's how we, join our hearts together. Right. As we say, your pain matters too. And knowing that then gives you the courage to say, what can I do today? It's very helpful when people become monthly donors because that helps us know how much do we as a business have to work with. If Josephine calls and says, Kathy, there's 60 more girls who want to go to school, I have to know, well, where am I going to find the funding to make that happen? We're efficient, we're effective, we run a really well-run organization.
It's what I respect a lot about you. Yeah.
But we need help, we need resources. Right. And so becoming a monthly donor is a way, and you'll get reports back. You'll get impact reports you can share with your family. It's fun for kids. Have your kids, I don't know if anybody has coins anymore. People don't seem to know what to do with this thing we call money. Sure. But if you put it into a jar and then have your kids at the end of the month decide where they want it to go, to a local shelter, to a refugee, to Mothers Without Borders. With us, you'll get a report that tells you what you're doing. Come on an expedition. That changes your heart. Our expeditions are very unique, and they're personal growth. They're wellness oriented. We work on your wellness so that you can be a greater force in the world. And then you also get to play with a lot of kids and spread pig manure. I mean, how many who else gives you that opportunity?
That seems, pretty incredible.
Saying.
It does.
Just saying. And planting flowers and trees. So what else? What's helpful for you? What is the biggest help people can be for you? Because you're 10,000 miles away.
Right.
Yeah. So I think just like Kathy said, with me, I would wrap it up with everything else that she said. I really feel like if we can look at each other as brothers and sisters all around, I think we are more likely to respond to help a sister or a brother. Yeah, so that means it's everything that you can help your brother with, wherever you see a need, and whatever you have as in excess that you can give away, it would definitely make a difference in one of the people that would need that particular thing.
Oh, it's just beautiful. And it's so true. We are brothers and sisters, and there's a lot that we can do. Just little acts of kindness and love and a willing heart can really make a huge difference. And so at Mixers, we're really excited because we are going to have an opportunity to donate a lot of the supplements that I know have been helping many of you, to be able to put that in the hands of these women, to help the women and children that they are working with, to support their nourishment and their health, because we want these people, these brothers and sisters that are living on another continent, to be able to thrive in their lives and be able to live their dreams and do more than just survive. Like, obviously you're helping them to survive, but we want them to have their health so that then they can learn and grow and do all the amazing things that they are able to do if they have the right support and empowerment. And so we're excited about that. And then we have an opportunity for you to also help us to be able to help them. So because we are all mothers, no matter if we actually have our own children or not, just we are mothers, and the fact that we are each other's caretakers and nurturers. On this coming Mother's Day weekend, we are donating 10% of all sales to Mothers Without Borders. So when you purchase these products that are helping to support your health so that you can feel like you can go out and do the good in the world that you're meant to do, know that 10% of what you are spending is being put into the hands of amazing women who are doing incredible work and making a huge difference in this world. I'm getting emotional because I am so inspired and I just want to be more like these women. And I know that you are most likely feeling the same things I am. We can come together. We are Mothers Without Borders. And it's important for us to take the gifts that we have within us and do the good in the world that we are meant to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
What an amazing interview. And
Thank you.
Love you both. And I encourage you to go and look at the links that are in the show notes. Go and donate where you can, get your family involved, share this story with the women in your life because sharing is caring. And the more we come together, the more good that can come from that. So thank you for tuning in. We really love and appreciate all of you that are subscribed to this podcast, whether you are listening on your favorite podcast platform or whether you are tuning into our YouTube channel. It makes a big difference. One of the best ways that you can help this podcast to grow is to like and subscribe and then to share these episodes, whether it's with your best friend, your mom, your sister, or on your social media. It makes a big difference. It helps us to grow the audience and it helps us to be able to have bigger reach. It also helps us to be able to invite amazing guests that are experts in whatever it is that they do so that we can learn from them and be able to implement the things that they have to offer into our own life. So until next time, we'll see you guys again next Tuesday. I hope you have a very happy and healthy week. And thank you again so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.